The colony ship Horizon's Dream moved slowly through the darkness of space. It was a beautiful ship, almost 2 kilometers long, carrying 40,000 human souls toward a new home. Captain Park stood on the bridge, watching the stars pass by through the massive windows. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back in a neat bun. She had made this journey many times before, but this trip felt special. These people trusted her to bring them safely to Elysium 7, humanity's colony world. In the passenger sections below, families were eating dinner together. Children ran through the wide corridors, laughing and playing games. Scientists discussed their plans for the new world. Farmers checked their seed storage for the 100th time. Everyone was excited. Everyone was hopeful. Lieutenant walked through the medical bay, checking on the sleeping passengers in pods. She was young, only 28 years old, with a warm smile that made everyone feel safe. She had joined this mission because she believed in humanity's future among the stars. Her older brother was an admiral back on Earth. He had worried about her taking this assignment, but she had laughed and told him not to be such a protective older brother. "The universe is not as dangerous as you think," she had said to him before leaving. "Most species out there just want to trade and talk. We'll be fine." She was wrong. The Galactic Confederation was a union of 200 alien species. Humanity had joined only 50 years ago and was still considered young and unimportant. Most aliens saw humans as friendly but weak. They were traders and explorers, not warriors. They smiled too much. They trusted too easily. They were, in the eyes of many older species, like children who had just learned to walk. The Empire did not like children. They were tall reptilian creatures with scales the color of dried blood. They had conquered 17 species over 10,000 years. They believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. The weak existed to serve the strong. And humans, with their soft skin and their foolish smiles, were the weakest creatures they had ever seen. Fleet Commander stood on his warship, looking at the human colony ship on his screen. His yellow eyes showed no emotion. To him, the Horizon's Dream was not a ship full of families and dreams. It was an opportunity. The humans had been growing too confident lately, spreading to new worlds, acting like they belonged among the stars. Someone needed to teach them their place. "Prepare weapons," ordered. His voice was cold like winter wind. "No survivors." His officers hesitated. Attacking a civilian ship was against Confederation law, but did not care about laws made by weak species. He cared about power. He cared about fear. And today, he would teach the humans to fear the... On the Horizon's Dream, Captain was the first to see the ships appear on her sensors. Her blood turned cold. 5 warships, heavily armed, moving toward them at attack speed. "This is Captain Park of the colony ship Horizon's Dream," she broadcast on all channels. "We are a civilian vessel carrying families and children. We mean no harm. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The only response was weapons fire. The first blast hit the engine section. The ship shook violently. Alarms screamed throughout every corridor. Captain gripped her command chair, her knuckles white. "All hands, this is the captain. We are under attack. Everyone move to the escape pods. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." But there would be no escape. Had positioned his ships to block every exit route. He wanted no survivors. He wanted no witnesses. He wanted only a message written in blood and fire. Lieutenant ran through the corridors, helping people toward the escape pods. A mother was crying, clutching her baby. An old man had fallen and could not get up. Help them all, her heart pounding in her chest. Around her, the ship was dying. Explosions ripped through the hull. The lights flickered and went dark. She reached the communication room and opened a channel to Earth. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "This is Lieutenant of the Horizon's Dream. We are under attack by warships. They are targeting civilians. Repeat, they are targeting civilians. We have children on board. 40,000 souls. Please send help. Please." Another explosion. The communication panel sparked and died, looked out the window and saw the ships circling like sharks around bleeding prey. She thought of her brother. She thought of Earth. She thought of all the things she would never do, all the places she would never see. "I'm sorry," she whispered. The final blast tore the Horizon's dream apart. In seconds, 40,000 lives became nothing but fire and floating metal. The ships recorded everything. Fleet Commander watched the destruction with satisfaction. The message had been sent. The humans would learn their place. The footage was broadcast across space. Citizens cheered. Politicians made speeches about superiority. No one felt guilt. No one felt shame. The humans were just animals, after all. Who cared about dead animals? 3 days later, the distress signal reached Earth. Admiral was in a meeting when his aide interrupted with a pale face and trembling hands. He played the message. His voice filled the room, calm and brave even in her final moments. "We have children on board, 40,000 souls. Please send help, please." Then static, then silence. Did not cry, he did not scream. He simply sat there listening to his sister's last words again and again. His face showed nothing, but inside something changed, something broke, and something new was born in its place. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Something terrible. They believed they had sent a message to humanity. They were right, but they did not understand what message they had really sent. They had told humanity that kindness was weakness. They had told humanity that the universe was cruel and only the strong survived. Humanity heard the message clearly, and humanity decided to respond. The galaxy expected tears. The galaxy expected angry speeches and diplomatic protests. The galaxy expected humanity to run to the Confederation Council and beg for justice like a child running to its parents. None of that happened. Admiral stood before the United Earth Council 3 days after receiving his sister's final message. The room was filled with the most powerful leaders on Earth. Presidents, generals, scientists, and diplomats all watched him with heavy hearts. Everyone knew about the Horizon's dream. Everyone had seen the footage they had proudly shared across the galaxy. His face was calm, too calm. His eyes were empty like a sky before a great storm. 40,000 people, he said quietly. Farmers who wanted to grow food on a new world. Scientists who wanted to study alien plants. Teachers who wanted to build schools. Children who wanted to play under a different sun. He paused. They killed them all. They recorded it. They celebrated it. They called us animals. The room was silent. The Confederation will do nothing. They never do. They are too powerful, too important. There will be meetings and discussions and official statements of concern, and in 1 year everyone will forget, everyone except us. He looked at each council member, one by one. "I am not asking for permission to be angry. I am not asking for permission to mourn. I am asking for one thing only." His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "War." The vote was unanimous. Every hand rose. Every voice said yes. For the first time in 300 years, humanity declared total war. But the humans did not announce their declaration. They did not send angry messages to the. They did not threaten or promise revenge. Instead, they did something that confused everyone. They went silent. Human ships stopped traveling to alien ports. Human traders closed their shops in Confederation stations. Human diplomats packed their bags and went home. Within 2 weeks, humanity had completely withdrawn from galactic society. The Confederation was puzzled. Ambassadors from various species tried to contact Earth, but received only polite automated messages saying that humanity was focusing on internal matters. They laughed at this. Fleet Commander told his officers that the humans were hiding in fear, too scared to even complain. "They are cowards," he said proudly. "We killed their people and they run away like frightened animals. This proves that we were right about them." He could not have been more wrong. Behind the wall of silence, Earth was transforming. Doctor worked in a secret laboratory deep beneath the mountains of what was once called Korea. She was a small woman with messy hair and tired eyes, but her mind was sharper than any blade. For 15 years, she had been developing weapons that humanity had never revealed to the galaxy. "They think we are children," she said to her team, working through another sleepless night. "They think we spent all these years just exploring and trading. They have no idea what we have built in the shadows." Project Prometheus was her greatest creation. Weapons that could make ships disappear without a trace, shields that could stop any known weapon, engines that could move faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity had been preparing for this day since they first met alien life. They had smiled and traded and made friends, yes, but they had also watched. They had learned, and they had prepared for the day when smiles would not be enough. General was called the Ghost for good reason. He had spent 40 years studying alien warfare, learning every tactic and strategy used by every species in the Confederation. He knew how they fought. He knew their strengths and their weaknesses. He knew exactly how to destroy them. "They believe in overwhelming force," he explained to his commanders. "They attack in large numbers, relying on fear and firepower. They have never faced an enemy who fights from the shadows. They have never faced an enemy who strikes without warning and vanishes without a trace." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "They will learn." Earth's hidden fleet emerged from secret bases on moons and asteroids throughout human space. The galaxy believed humanity had 200 warships. The truth was closer to 2,000. For decades, humanity had been building in secret, hiding their true strength behind a mask of friendly weakness. Young men and women lined up to join the military. Factories that once made farming equipment now made weapons. Schools taught children to be brave. Churches and temples prayed for victory. Every human, from the oldest grandmother to the youngest child, understood what was happening. This was not just a war for revenge. This was a war for survival. If humanity showed weakness now, other species would attack them too. They had to prove once and for all that humans were not prey. 6 months passed. The galaxy grew bored waiting for humanity to do something. Other news took over. Other conflicts demanded attention. The Horizon's Dream Massacre became old history, mentioned only occasionally as an example of power. Fleet Commander was promoted to Grand Admiral for his brave action against the human colonists. He received medals and honors. He gave speeches about the natural order of the universe, with the strong ruling over the weak. He slept peacefully every night, dreaming of future conquests. On Earth, Admiral visited his sister's empty grave. There was no body to bury, of course, just a stone with her name and a small photograph showing her bright smile. "Soon, little sister," he said quietly. "Soon, everyone will know your name. Soon, everyone will remember what they did to you." He placed a small flower on the grave and walked away. That night, across human space, 2,000 warships powered up their engines. 2 million soldiers checked their weapons one final time. The silence was about to break. And when it did, the sound would echo across the entire galaxy. The first attack came at midnight time. 17 border outposts guarded the edge of space. Each outpost had 50 soldiers, advanced sensors, and enough weapons to destroy a small fleet. They were the eyes and ears of the Empire, watching for any threat that might approach. At exactly midnight, all 17 outposts went dark. No distress calls, no sensor warnings, no explosions visible on any scanner. One moment they were there. The next moment they simply ceased to exist. It was as if a giant hand had reached down and erased them from the universe. The High Command received the news with confusion. "Equipment failure," they said at first. "A computer error. Some kind of natural phenomenon. Surely no enemy could destroy 17 military outposts simultaneously without being detected." Then the recordings arrived. Small black ships, shaped like daggers, appearing from nowhere. Weapons that made no sound and left no trace. Soldiers vanishing before they could even scream. The attacks lasted less than 30 seconds each. 30 seconds and 50 trained warriors were gone forever. They had never seen ships like these. Their sensors could not detect them. Their weapons could not hit them. Their shields could not stop them. Fear, an emotion they had not felt in centuries, began to spread. Grand Admiral refused to be afraid. He ordered his fleet to hunt down the attackers. 800 warships, the largest fleet ever assembled, moved toward the border. They would crush these shadow ships and prove once again that they were supreme. But the shadow ships did not wait to be found. 3 nights after the outpost attacks, Commander stood in his private bedroom. She was tall and thin, with short black hair and eyes that showed nothing. Behind her, 4 soldiers from Earth's Special Operations Division held their weapons ready. Woke to find a human woman standing over his bed. For a moment, he could not understand what he was seeing. His guards were outside the door. His ship had thousands of soldiers. How could enemies be in his private quarters? How, he started to say. Quiet said, her voice was soft but carried an edge sharper than any blade. I am not here to kill you, not yet. She placed a small device on his bedside table. A holographic image appeared above it. Faces, thousands of faces. Men, women, children, bobbies, names scrolled beneath each image. These are the people you killed, said. 40,000 names, 40,000 faces. This device will play their images forever. It cannot be turned off. It cannot be destroyed. Wherever you go, they will follow you. Tried to call for his guards, but no sound came from his throat. Some kind of human technology had stolen his voice. Leaned close to his face. Her breath was warm against his scales. Learn their names, she whispered. Remember their faces. We will come back for you when you know every single one. Then she was gone. The soldiers vanished with her. By the time found his voice and called for help, there was no trace they had ever been there. Except for the device, the faces, the names, playing endlessly beside his bed. The Grand Fleet arrived at the border 3 days later. 800 warships arranged in perfect battle formation. Despite his sleepless nights and the voices of the dead in his ears, commanded from his flagship, he would destroy these humans personally. He would burn their worlds and make them pay for humiliating him. The human fleet appeared from behind a small moon. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, this memory, named for his sister. Around him, 600 human warships waited for his command. They outnumbered them. They had more firepower. They had never lost a major battle in 3,000 years. None of that mattered. All ships said calmly, begin. The battle lasted 4 hours, but it was decided in the first 10 minutes. Human ships moved in ways they could not understand. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Their weapons cut through shields like paper. Their coordination was perfect, every ship knowing exactly where to be and when to fire. They fought bravely. They were warriors after all, and they did not know how to surrender. But bravery means nothing against an enemy you cannot hit, cannot see, cannot understand. By the second hour, half the fleet was burning wreckage. By the third hour, captains were begging for mercy. By the fourth hour, it was over. 720 ships destroyed, 80,000 soldiers dead, the greatest military defeat in the history of their empire. Human losses, 11 ships, 342 soldiers. The galaxy watched the battle footage in absolute shock. News channels played it again and again, unable to believe what they were seeing. These were not the humans they knew. The friendly traders, the curious explorers, the species that seemed so harmless and naive. These humans fought like something from ancient nightmares. They were fast, brutal, and utterly without mercy. They did not boast or threaten. They did not demand surrender. They simply destroyed everything in their path with cold, terrible efficiency. Across the galaxy, species that had ignored humanity suddenly paid very close attention. The weak little mammals were not weak at all. They had been hiding their true nature all along, wearing a mask of kindness while building claws of steel. On his ruined flagship, Grand Admiral lay wounded among the bodies of his crew. The holographic device still played beside him, showing face after face, name after name. He could not escape it. He could not look away. He was beginning to learn their names. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Admiral watched the burning remains of the fleet and felt nothing. No joy, no satisfaction, just a cold emptiness that could only be filled by one thing. Justice, complete justice. The war had only begun. The Empire was falling apart. Without their grand fleet, they had no way to stop the human advance. Colony after colony surrendered as human ships appeared in their skies. Generals who had once boasted about superiority now hid in bunkers, praying the humans would not find them. But the humans always found them. Agent O was the most feared human in the galaxy. She was small and quiet, with a face that seemed kind and gentle. She looked like someone's grandmother, the type who would bake cookies and tell stories to children. This appearance was her greatest weapon. Her job was simple: find every officer who had participated in the Horizon's Dream Massacre. Find them, capture them, and bring them back to face human justice. She never failed. Captain was hiding on a frozen moon at the edge of known space. He had been third in command during the massacre. He had personally ordered the attack on the escape pods, making sure no survivors could flee. He thought he was safe. He thought no one could find him in this forgotten corner of the universe. He was eating his dinner when sat down across from him. "Hello, Captain," she said pleasantly, as if meeting an old friend. "You are very difficult to find. I have been looking for you for 3 weeks." Reached for his weapon, but his arm would not move. He looked down and saw a small needle sticking out of his neck. "A paralytic," explained. "You can hear me, you can see me, but you cannot move. Very useful for conversations like this one." She placed a photograph on the table. A young human girl, maybe 7 years old, with a bright smile and missing front teeth. Her name was. She was on the Horizon's Dream with her parents. They were going to start a flower shop on Elysium 7. She wanted to grow roses. She placed another photograph, an old man with kind eyes. Park, he was a teacher for 40 years. He joined the colony to teach children about Earth's history. He believed that remembering the past would help build a better future. More photographs, a young couple holding hands, a baby sleeping peacefully, a teenager laughing with friends. "These are some of the people you killed, Captain. I want you to see their faces before your trial." She stood up and signaled to her team waiting outside. "Take him to Earth, carefully. He must survive to face justice." This was happening across space. Every officer, every soldier, every official who had played a part in the massacre was being hunted. Not killed in shadows, but captured and brought to trial. The humans wanted the galaxy to see. They wanted everyone to understand that this was not revenge. This was justice. The trials were broadcast on every channel in the Confederation. Prosecutor Lee stood before the tribunal, presenting evidence against each defendant. She was young for such an important job, only 35 years old, but her voice carried the weight of 40,000 dead souls. "The defense claims that the defendants were following orders," she said, addressing not just the tribunal but the entire watching galaxy. "They claim they had no choice. They claim they did not know the ship was carrying civilians." She pressed a button. The recording of Captain's transmission played across every screen. "We are a civilian vessel carrying families and children. We mean no harm." The recording ended. Silence filled the courtroom. "They knew," said quietly. "They knew exactly what they were destroying. They chose to do it anyway, and now they must face the consequences of that choice." One by one, the defendants were found guilty. But the sentences surprised many who were watching. The humans did not execute them. They did not torture them. Each guilty officer was sentenced to life imprisonment on isolated moons, alone with their memories and the recordings of the people they had killed. Grand Admiral was the last to face trial. He looked different now. Thin, exhausted, his scales faded to a sickly gray. He had not slept properly in months. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw their faces. He heard their names. The holographic device had done its work. He knew every single victim now. He could recite their names from memory. 40,000 names, he whispered during his trial, not looking at anyone. So many names, so many children. I did not know there were so many children. The tribunal found him guilty. His sentence: life imprisonment on the coldest moon in human space, with only the holographic device for company. As they led him away, he passed Admiral, who had watched the entire trial in silence. "Your sister," said, his voice broken. "She was brave. She stayed calm until the end. She helped others instead of saving herself." "Said nothing." "I'm sorry," whispered. "I know it means nothing, but I'm sorry." Looked at him for a long moment. His face showed no hatred, no satisfaction, just a deep, profound sadness. "You took everything from those families," he said finally. "Now you will live with what you did. Forever, that is your punishment, not death, which would be too easy. Life. A long, long life of remembering." The galaxy watched these trials with growing amazement. They had expected humanity to commit genocide. They had expected burning cities and mass executions. Instead, they saw something far more sophisticated. The humans were not destroying they were protecting civilians, preserving culture, rebuilding infrastructure. They were punishing only those who deserved punishment. This somehow was more terrifying than blind revenge. It showed a level of control, of discipline, of moral strength that most species could not imagine. The humans could have burned everything. They chose not to. They chose justice over vengeance, law over chaos, humanity over hatred. And in doing so, they proved themselves more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. Because a species capable of such restraint after such pain was a species capable of anything. 1 year had passed since the war ended. The Galactic Confederation called an emergency summit on the neutral station of Haven Prime. Every species sent their highest representatives. Presidents, emperors, queens, and councils all gathered in the largest meeting hall ever constructed. The topic of discussion was simple: humanity. Ambassador Shin entered the hall alone. She was not what many aliens expected. She was short, with gray hair and wrinkles around her eyes. She wore simple clothes without decoration or medals. She walked slowly, calmly, taking her time to reach the central platform where she would address the assembly. Behind her, a massive holographic screen flickered to life. It showed a single image: the colony ship Horizon's Dream, whole and beautiful, floating among the stars. Then slowly the image faded into a wall of faces. 40,000 faces. Men, women, children, bobbies. Names scrolling endlessly beneath each one. The assembly fell silent. Stood at the podium, looking out at hundreds of alien species. Some had called humanity friends. Some had called them weak. Some had laughed when the Horizon's Dream was destroyed, thinking it proved that humans were prey animals who deserved whatever happened to them. None of them were laughing now. "We did not want this war," began. Her voice was soft but carried perfectly through the silent hall. "When humanity first reached the stars, we were filled with wonder. We looked up at the universe and saw infinite possibility. We wanted to meet new species, learn new ideas, make new friends. We came with open hands and open hearts." She paused, letting her words settle. "For 50 years we lived among you peacefully. We traded fairly. We helped where we could. We asked nothing except the chance to exist, to grow, to be part of this great galactic community. We believed that kindness would be returned with kindness." Her voice hardened slightly. We were wrong. The image behind her changed to show the attack. Ships firing on helpless civilians, escape pods exploding, the final moments of 40,000 lives. They saw our kindness and called it weakness. They saw our peaceful nature and thought it meant we could not fight. They murdered our people and expected us to cry and beg and do nothing. She looked directly at the representatives in the assembly. They were few now, from the new government that had risen after the empire's collapse. They could not meet her eyes. We did not cry, we did not beg. We did exactly what any family would do when their loved ones are murdered. We sought justice, and we achieved it. The screen showed images of the war, human ships destroying the fleet, soldiers surrendering, war criminals being brought to trial, but also humans helping rebuild cities, human doctors treating sick, human teachers opening schools for children. Many of you expected genocide, continued. You expected us to burn everything to become the monsters that our enemies were. You thought that was what strength meant, destroy everything, show no mercy, rule through fear. She shook her head slowly. That is not strength. That is weakness wearing the mask of power. True strength is the ability to destroy and choosing not to. True strength is having every right to hate and choosing justice instead. True strength is protecting the innocent even when they share blood with the guilty. She stepped forward, her eyes sweeping across the assembly. Humanity is not a species of warriors. We are farmers and teachers and artists and dreamers. We build things, we create things. We raise children and tell stories and plant gardens. This is who we are. This is who we want to be. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper, but somehow it echoed even louder in the silent hall. But understand this clearly, all of you. Every species, every empire, every civilization in this galaxy. We may not want to fight, but when we are forced to, when our families are threatened, when our children are murdered, we become something else entirely. Something that even we do not fully understand. The faces of the Horizon's dream, victims filled the screen behind her. 40,000 souls cry out across the void. We heard them. We answered them. We gave them the justice they deserved. And we will do the same for any human, anywhere in this galaxy, who is harmed by those who mistake our kindness for weakness. She looked at each delegation, one by one. They learned this lesson. Let no other species need to learn it again. She bowed her head for a moment, then looked up with eyes that held both warmth and steel. Humanity offers friendship to all who want it. Trade, knowledge, cooperation, peace. Our hands remain open. Our hearts remain willing. Come to us as friends and you will find no better allies in the universe. She paused. But come to us as enemies, harm our people, hurt our children, and you will discover why even the stars fall silent when humanity goes to war. She stepped back from the podium. The hall remained completely quiet. No one moved. No one spoke. The weight of her words pressed down on every being present. On Earth, Admiral watched the broadcast from the memorial garden built in honor of the Horizon's dream victims. 40,000 names were carved into white stone walls that surrounded a peaceful pond filled with flowers. He walked slowly along the wall until he found her name, his little sister who had believed in the goodness of the universe. He placed his hand on the carved letters. "It's done," he said softly. "Justice has been served. Your name will never be forgotten. None of their names will ever be forgotten." A soft breeze stirred the flowers in the pond. Somewhere in the distance, children laughed and played. The universe continued turning. New ships launched toward distant stars. New colonies grew on new worlds. Humanity kept exploring, kept building, kept dreaming. They smiled at alien traders and shared meals with new friends and taught their children to see wonder in every corner of the cosmos. But deep in their hearts they never forgot. The kindness was real, the peace was genuine, the friendship was honest. And so was the warning. Across the galaxy, species spoke of humanity in hushed voices. The friendly humans, the curious humans, the humans who laughed easily and helped generously and dreamed beautifully. The humans you must never, ever harm. Because when humanity's fury awakened, it shook the very foundations of civilization, and all the galaxy had stood in silence, watching, learning, understanding finally what it meant to anger the children of Earth. Some lessons once learned are never forgotten,